WFXR News at noon starts right now with breaking news.
Breaking this afternoon, the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, the landmark ruling that legalized abortion nationwide.
And that ruling now hands abortion rights over to the states, meaning states can now outlaw abortion. Well, the scene at the court has become increasingly tense as both pro-choice and pro-life advocates let their voices be heard. Protesters have lined up in Washington, D.C. for weeks awaiting this decision. Well, this is a 6-3 decision, with the majority saying, quote, the Constitution makes no reference to abortion and no such right is implicitly protected by any constitutional provision. Today's outcome is expected to lead to abortion bans in roughly half of the states in the country. And we spoke with Dr. Karen Holt, political science professor at Virginia Tech. Dr. Holt says she expects the Supreme Court's ruling to impact Americans standing among other countries, especially those who treat access to abortion as human right, and coming on the heels of Wednesday's decisions.
Along with the decision that was released by the U.S. Supreme Court yesterday about the expansion of gun rights in the United States. That also is something that other countries look at the U.S. and say, my goodness, you already have a serious gun violence problem in the U.S. What's going on here? So I think all of these things put together may raise some questions about the legitimacy of the U.S. Supreme Court and the decisions it's reaching in the political system in the U.S.
Dr. Holt also says this decision reflects a political shift in America from left to right, calling this move similar to the election of former President Donald Trump and at the state level, the election of Governor Glenn Youngkin.
Well, let's turn now to WFXR's Haley Connor. She joins us now live from the federal courthouse in downtown Roanoke. And Haley, what are people there telling you about this decision?
We have spoke to over a dozen people here in downtown Roanoke, asking them their thoughts and feelings on the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. Now, we had a lot of folks who were very passionate about not making comments on and off camera, but we did get some people's feelings and reactions. A lot of people were saying that they were sad, frustrated, frightened for the United States and women in general, and here's more on that.
I think that in the community at large, like Roanoke as a whole, I think the big thing is people forget that abortions have always been around, but now if they're not safe to access, people are going to start doing a lot more irresponsible things.
I was pretty disappointed. You know, I think everybody has a right to choose, what they want to do with their body. And leaving it up to the state, I think it leaves a wide open door that could swing too many different directions.
And just to reiterate, these are the feelings and emotions coming from the people here in downtown Roanoke. It has been a real mixed bag of emotions, and we will keep you updated on people's reactions, thoughts throughout the day. In Roanoke, Haley Connor, WFXR News.
Haley, thank you. Now, Virginia congressional Democrats reacting swiftly to the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Senator Mark Warner saying on Twitter, quote, this decision jeopardizes the health and autonomy of millions of American women and turns back the clock on nearly 50 years of settled and reaffirmed law, end quote. Now, Senator Tim Kaine says this afternoon, quote, this decision flies in the face of decades of precedent protecting women's rights to make the fundamental personal decisions without needless government interference. Congress must act now to protect those rights. We are not going to give up on this, end quote.
And on the Republican aisle, Congressman Bob Good says in part many Republicans in Congress match that courage of the Supreme Court by demanding a vote on the Life at Conception Act, ending abortion in America. And state lawmakers also weighing in on the ruling.
Yeah, Governor Glenn Youngkin saying he's asking state Republicans to come together with advocates across the Commonwealth. He's asking delegates to prepare to introduce legislation on abortion access when the General Assembly reconvenes in January. In a statement, Governor Youngkin says, the truth is, Virginians want fewer abortions, not more abortions. We can build a bipartisan consensus on protecting the life of unborn children, especially when they begin to feel pain in the womb, and importantly, supporting mothers and families who choose life.
And Virginia's Attorney General also weighing in with a statement saying, in part, today the Supreme Court ruled that the issue of abortion should not be decided by unelected federal judges, but by the people of the states through their elected representatives. Good and reasonable people can disagree on this issue, but now Virginians, not federal judges, can decide its future. And we also want to hear from you. Do you agree with the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade? We'll have a look at all those results tonight at 6 and at 10. And we will continue to follow this development from the Supreme Court. Stick with us and online and on air for updates on WFXRTV.com.